Have you ever wondered how our understanding of messages changes based on who delivers them? Today we explore this question and more as we delve into the social psychological approach to communication, one of the most rigorous scientific approaches in the study of how we interact through language and symbols. This approach stands out due to its reliance on precise observation and analysis of communicative phenomena, which may be compared to a magnifier. It's not only a metaphor for detailed observation and analysis of a communicative phenomena, but it also symbolizes the pursuit for truth to uncover the mechanics of how communication works from the perspective of the sender, message, medium, and the receiver. The concept of truth in Greek, represented by the term Aletheia, combines the prefix a, meaning not, with letter, derived from the river Let in Greek mythology, which caused the forgetfulness of the past life. Aletheia thus symbolizes unforgetting or discovering truths that were previously obscured. Searching for truth involves peeling back the layers of commonplace understanding. By emphasizing a careful examination, this approach seeks not just to understand but also predict and improve communication outcomes. By observing and understanding cause and effect relationships in communication, we can predict and influence future interactions. For instance, knowing that a smile often results in another smile, or that sustained eye contact can enhance listener engagement, we can use these insights to tailor our communicative strategies effectively. This descriptive approach, focusing on what is rather than what ought to be, anchors our studies in objectivity, contrasting sharply with more subjective, normative approaches influenced by personal and societal biases. These insights allow us to craft messages that not only communicate but also persuade, an invaluable skill in everything from teaching to advertising, enhancing our ability to connect with and influence our audience. A central question underpins the social psychological approach to communication. Who says what, to whom, in what channel, with what effect? This inquiry drives our understanding of the communication process, highlighting the roles of the message's source, its content, the medium of delivery, and its impact on the receiver. By examining these elements, we dive into the mechanics on how communication functions and how we can leverage it to achieve specific goals. Throughout this module, we'll analyze how these components interact and influence the dynamics of communication. This knowledge is vital for anyone seeking to master the complexities of social interactions, whether in personal relationships or within larger societal frameworks. Let's consider three influential figures: Bill Clinton, Nelson Mandela, and Albert Einstein. Reflecting on their credibility can teach us much about communication dynamics. For instance, Bill Clinton's well-known scandal might affect her trust in his messages. In contrast, Nelson Mandela's revered status might make us more receptive to his words. However, for topics like physics, Albert Einstein as a subject matter expert would be our preferred source. This discussion leads us to two pivotal aspects of communication: expertise and trustworthiness. Expertise ensures the sender is seen as credible and knowledgeable. Trustworthiness, on the other hand, hinges on the sender's perceived sincerity. When receivers believe in the sender's sincerity, it significantly boosts the message credibility. As we proceed, we see how these factors not only shape our perceptions, but also affect the efficiency of communication. Let's now focus on another critical element of communication, the content of the message. Whether it's an emotional appeal or call to action, the content is crucial and open to a range of interpretations. At this point, it's important to introduce a key concept known as the sleeper effect. This phenomenon highlights how, over time, the connection between the source of a message and the message itself may weaken in our memories. Imagine hearing a populist politician argue for a linear taxation system, claiming it's economically efficient. Initially skeptical due to the politician's lack of expertise, over time you may forget the identity but still consider the argument. This highlights the sleeper effect. Despite doubts about the source, the persuasive content gradually influences your opinion. It emphasizes the importance of credible sources for effective communication. In understanding this, we emphasize the importance both of the integrity and the expertise of the message's origin to ensure its long-term effectiveness and credibility. The medium through which a message is conveyed plays a crucial role in how the message is received and understood. For instance, consider the difference between reading a news article online versus hearing the same information via podcast. The online article allows for deeper contemplation and review at one's own pace, potentially including visuals and hyperlinks for further exploration. On the other hand, a podcast conveys the same information verbally, which might affect the listener's understanding and retention differently due to the linear and auditory nature of the medium. Each medium brings its own set of influences on the message's clarity, engagement, and perception. The effectiveness of a message also depends on the characteristics of the audience. Factors such as openness to new experiences, age, and cultural background can significantly alter how a message is received. For example, a digitally savvy teenager might perceive an advertisement on Instagram differently than an older person who prefers detailed articles in print media. These individual preferences and traits influence the communication process and the effectiveness of different media. These dynamics of how messages are tailored and received according to the medium and audience preferences connect to the cybernetic tradition in communication studies. This tradition views communication as a feedback loop where messages are not only sent but are also altered based on the receiver's feedback and context. For example, a marketing team might adjust an advertising campaign based on consumer reactions gathered from social media comments, aligning the message more closely with audience expectations and values. The sociopsychological approach is not homogeneous. There are three frameworks applied: behavioral, biological, and cognitive, each revealing another aspect of communication process. The behavioral approach treats communication as a series of stimulus-response transactions. This approach is particularly effective in settings where responses to specific stimuli can be clearly observed and influenced. Take, for example, a classroom that employs a behavioristic approach. A teacher uses praise as stimulus to encourage a student who answers a question correctly. The praise not only motivates the student but may also inspire increased participation from the entire class. Such instances demonstrate how immediate observable feedback results in behavioral adjustments, illustrating the fundamental principles of the behavioral approach. The biological approach to communication focuses on understanding how physiological factors such as brain activity, hormonal fluctuations, and genetic predispositions influence our communication abilities. For example, during stressful negotiations, an individual's cortisol levels can play a critical role. Elevated cortisol might impair one's clarity of thought and assertiveness, affecting their performance in the negotiations. This example highlights how our biological states can directly impact how effectively we communicate in various situations. Lastly, the cognitive approach examines the mental processes involved in communication, such as thought, memory, and problem solving. This branch helps us understand how people perceive, process, and retain communication. For example, how a consumer remembers and interprets an advertisement might depend on the existing knowledge and perception, such as influences whether they find the message persuasive or not. In today's lecture, we explore the social psychological approach to communication, a scientifically rigorous method that scrutinizes how messages are constructed, delivered, and received. We discussed how the source of the message, the content, the medium, and the audience each play a vital role in communication process. By employing precise observation and analysis, similar to using a magnifier, this approach allows us to understand and enhance communication dynamics, helping us uncover and align with the pursuit of truth in social interactions. On these questions to deepen your grasp of today's discussion. How might the credibility of messages source influence its long-term impact on the audience? In what ways does the choice of medium affect the audience understanding and retention of message? How can communicators effectively adapt their messages based on the diverse characteristics of their audience?